So hey guys, this video we actually in fact be covering a couple apps that in fact be recommended just to install on your phone and generally just to use on a daily basis, because honestly these apps are actually in fact quite useful, especially for Android, and I really want to make this video for a while because of the main reason that is simply, well, these apps are so good to the point where that honestly not using them on a daily basis is absolutely insane. Try start off back with some games here. In fact, I'll recommend for you guys to in fact install. That is pretty much Asphalt 8 retry mod. Because we know for a fact that game last time has been ruined in Asphalt 8, so that Asphalt 9 can look a lot more attractive to a much more newer audience of Asphalt 8 fans. Or aka Asphalt fans. And of course, some of the classical Asphalt 8 fans miss how that pretty much back in the day where the game was not only a lot more affordable but also a lot more premium compared to the game that we have today, which is not really that good, as I can say myself. Like, even though graphical wise it looks a lot more better, that's the only advantage to it. And so my Asphalt 8 retry mod pretty much fixes that issue by pretty much making the graphics go way up to ultra, making it go from 30 FPS to 60 FPS. It pretty much does what Genloft didn't really do. That is pretty much unlocking the frame cap for Asphalt 8 and making it to 60 FPS. Because honestly, it feels if like that it was a no-brainer move, because the game felt extremely laggy, especially at 30 FPS. And so upgrade to 60 makes it a lot more smoother. We're also basically now putting cars in tier lists where you have to in fact buy cars in order to climb up the tier list. So pretty much, the more cars that you buy, the higher the tier list goes, and soon you can in fact buy the much more highly rated, high sought after cars at a higher rating, or aka much more OP cars at a higher rating, while the much more common cars, the much more slower type cars that actually have a much more lower rating. So that progression is not only a lot more simpler but also a lot more easier, and on top of this, all the in-app purchases and all the ads have also been removed. So pretty much, Asphalt 8 retry mod pretty much fixes all of this, and on top of this, makes the career mode a lot more funner and makes Asphalt 8 into a classical piece of art. And so, to mash that up with is a game that's in fact going to come soon, that is pretty much a Project Resurrection game. This one is in fact going to be based off of Real Racing 3, which will in fact bring out some enormous good details. Like for example, a whole good texture formatting tool, where now for a fact for the first time ever, you can in fact mod your Real Racing 3 texture folder so that you can in fact make your game look extremely goofy. This will in fact unlock limitless possibilities for the game, and honestly makes the game look a lot more better or a lot more worse depending on how bad you can fuck up with the game. With also more potential tools being made for the future, and as of course I'm a lead dev of it, I cannot really say that much on the matter at hand. But this is what I can in fact say, that the game will in fact be guaranteed to be working with the offline patch, with potentially working with also with multiple other save files. But however, if you have a version 14 and later of Real Racing 3, and in fact trying to port this over to the version 13 that we in fact going to be porting it to, it won't in fact work, as that pretty much the same files are in fact majorly different from version 13 and version 14. So to be honest though, if you want to in fact play this game and to use your save file, I will 100% recommend to pretty much back it up from an older version of the game, like for example version 13 and below. So make sure that if you want to in fact play Project Resurrection's release that is pretty much to be discovered, I'll recommend that you back your save file from an older version of the game instead of a newer version of the game. In order to do that, simply find an offline patch of the game, load it up, do the cloud sync, and then as soon as you've done that, pretty much download the save file or copy the save file, put it in the safe place, and then boom, you have your save file that you can in fact use for pretty much Project Resurrection, which is in fact working with many other teams across the Real Racing 3 community and many other people who are inside the Real Racing 3 community and of course the racing community to pretty much bring this game back, especially when this game feels as if it should be offline. But to be honest though, EA decided to do the fucked up thing and pretty much make it online only for some reason. Kind of like what Ubisoft did with The Crew, even though both games can literally support it, which is quite fucking stupid. Next up, it is the Echo Nightly. Echo Nightly is in fact a new music app that you honestly do not really need any other music app. Pretty much Echo Nightly does the one main thing that you want a music app to in fact do. That's able to play music at a higher quality from YouTube Music. Yep, Echo Nightly does that only from YouTube Music because I only noticed that the extension for YouTube Music is only working. And in fact, if you want all the extensions that you in fact want to download, you have to type in the extension page, which I'll be showing on screen, extensions. Then from there you can simply just pick out all the extensions you want to have, and then it will be installing them, and then you can just pretty much use them automatically. Some of them are of course outdated and not really working, but some of them like the YouTube Music actually work, and it works extremely well in a way where that you could not only listen to music at the highest quality possible, but also if you're interested you can in fact download it as an MP4, not needing an external website or external source in order to download it. And instead you can just download it directly from the app. And this is why I actually recommend it, because honestly it's a really good music player app, because it supports online functionality and offline functionality. So to be honest, it's in fact a no-brainer move just to have this if you just normally use YouTube Music, as I pretty much noticed that pretty much YouTube Music is the only one that actually works with it. Last up is a personal favourite of mine, Vanced Manager, which is made off of Vanced, which is a discontinued version where basically they are in fact modding YouTube to have no ads and pretty much have all the premium features, which this one does, but in fact expands to a majority of apps, which in fact if you want to see if your app is in fact supported, or the app that you want to mod is supported, I'll link the website description down below with everything, with all the other websites that you need and all the other downloads and stuff like that. Because honestly what Vanced Manager does is a lot more advanced than any other app modding thing, because what Vanced Manager does is simply using the APK that you download, aka the latest APK that you can in fact find via the suggested features or the suggested versions, which I'll 100% recommend that you in fact use, or in fact use the most latest version that you can in fact find of the app. For example, like for YouTube, use the latest version, and basically as soon as you use the latest version you can in fact select it, and then from there right you could just simply it will simply like you to select the APK. From there right it will show you all the options that the modding is in fact gonna do, from removing ads to removing shorts to honestly making the UI look a lot more classic and a lot more better and a lot more simplified. It's now a lot more confusing and a lot more chaotic, basically giving a much more cleaner UI, and also giving all the premium features that you would need via a subscription payment that YouTube quite ironically was in fact give you at a very cheap price. But instead right now you can just simply use YouTube without ads, background play, and also offline and download play. So pretty much all the premium features, and on top of this some better looking UI and a much more classical UI and a bunch of other improvements, making it so that not only if the YouTube app transmits a lot less data, making it so that the app is a lot more data conscious. What I mean by this is that it will take up a less amount of mobile data that you use, or less Wi-Fi data that you in fact use. So if you're on a limited plan, I'll 100% recommend that you in fact use this and Echo Nightly, as that you can use Echo Nightly to download the music offline, then play that via your music player, while at the same time, right, if you want to watch videos, you can just simply download the videos that you want to watch beforehand on Wi-Fi, and then pretty much watch them offline and even in the background. So pretty much an absolute W for Vanced Manager. You of course need to do a couple things, like install some additional things like micro G settings, but overall I feel as if that for what it is, it's extremely recommended for pretty much everyone to in fact have, because honestly Vanced Manager and plus YouTube makes it so that the app is not only a lot more cleaner, but also a lot more better than the original YouTube app, which is absolutely insane, not that insane really. So that's everything I wanted to in fact talk about, because honestly it feels as if that having all these apps, especially when you're on Android, because unfortunately fuck you iPhone, because I hate iPhones for a passion, because iPhones do nothing but like copy Android and like iPhone or Application of it just so that it looks quote unquote a lot more premium, but in reality it's just not really that well. So like, yeah, if you're interested, go get yourself a nice Android and then pretty much install all these apps that allow you to have a lot more premium features, or basically YouTube Premium but without the fucking payment. And on top of this, also have some couple of games that are quite peak and really good in quality. And so that'll be the end of the video. Stay safe.